always seems like I get involved in these really big projects because of one little thing that happens. Sometimes it's something bad, like a plumbing disaster that everything else needs to be repaired. In this case, this bathroom remodel all started with a free toilet. As part of a water conservation effort, Marin County, where I live, is offering free low flush toilets to anyone who has a toilet that was put in before 1995. So we took advantage of that deal and we got 2 of these new toilets that only use 0.8 gallons of water with every flush. That's less than even the California standard, which is 1.3 gallons, I think. It's a little different, it sits up a little higher, but I gotta say, it's really efficient, works really well. This toilet just gave us the push to go ahead and remodel this bathroom, which we've been wanting to do for a long time. The first order of business was removing this enormous mirror that went wall to wall. I kind of figured I wouldn't be able to remove it without just breaking it. I looked online and somebody suggested putting packing tape all over the front of the mirror so that it wouldn't shatter, and that worked out great. Here I got smart and put a quilt over the new toilet so I wouldn't drop anything on the porcelain and break it. I hammered a wedge underneath the glass, which was probably not the best idea. When that first crack happened, it was really scary. But the packing tape held it all in place. Here you can see all the adhesive that was holding the mirror to the wall. Eventually my wife got scared watching me use that wooden wedge, and she ran to the hardware store and got me a specialized tool just for doing this. By the way, the old Vanity was only 28 inches tall, which was pretty uncomfortable. I wanted to make sure the new one was much higher. And the things you discover when you're doing a demolition. This was an old rat's nest. Yeah. We decided to put beadboard or wainscoting on the wall where the mirror was. It was really tricky getting it in there. Luckily, Wyatt was home for the holidays and could help me out. I held it in place with construction adhesive and nails. Finally, I installed a new light so we could use the bathroom and not have to pee in the dark. Usually when I make doors like this, I would cut a rabbet with my router on the inside that this panel would drop into and fit flush with the back. In this instance, I decided just to try something different and just mount it directly on the back for a couple of reasons. The first thing is just from a design point of view. We want everything in that bathroom to kind of have a real square look about it, and I think this will look nice if it's inset way far like that. The second reason is it doesn't really matter, I think, if this is showing up because these doors aren't going to be open that often. It's in the guest bathroom, and what kind of a guest is going to be opening up your cabinet doors in the bathroom? Well, maybe if they're just snooping around, I suppose. And then they would see that. One of the things I would normally do is route out some sort of a extra fancy profile, maybe like a Roman ogee or something around the edges. But again, I want to keep this as square looking as possible, simple and basic. I wanted to show you these hinges that I'm putting on. These are the self-closing type. They clamp like that. And this is the type of drill bit I use. And I really recommend using this when you're installing hinges. It has this round part here, and then the bit comes out like that, so it self-centers in the hole. So in this case, I can just line the hinge like that and drill the holes. And not surprisingly, my wall isn't straight. It seems like none of the walls in this house are straight. Let me take care of some general questions that seem to come up over and over again. I don't know if I made it clear in the video that the bathroom remodel isn't done. It's just beginning, so I still need to paint the walls. We need to put some trim around the walls, cover up that outlet, and build a bathroom cabinet, mirror. There's a lot to do. A lot of you did ask about that outlet. That was put in years before I lived in this place, and yeah, I'll be replacing that with a GFCI outlet. A lot of questions about the paint. It's a dark brown color. Some people didn't like the color. We really like it. Our idea with the bathroom is to embrace how small the bathroom is. Everybody always wants to try to make small rooms seem bigger than they are, which is what they did in that old bathroom by having that huge mirror on the wall. But I think it's a small bathroom, live with it, make it more of a a cozy room by using darker, more earthy colors. This is regular interior satin latex wall paint. A lot of you were asking about the faucet and if I liked it. Yeah, I like that faucet. I think it's a really cool design and I hadn't seen one like it before. I found it at Home Depot and it works really well. Is there any difference between this and making wall-mounted kitchen cabinets? The construction is basically the same. The only difference is that you're gonna need some strong, sturdy support behind the cabinets to hold them to the wall because they're gonna hold a lot of weight. You can still use the thin plywood backing, but you're also going to want a solid strip or a couple of strips of wood that you can either screw directly into the studs of the wall or even hang them from a French cleat, or both. Here's a really good question from ZRAM, who wants to know what I mean when I say solid wood, like for the face frame. That just means it's an actual solid piece of lumber milled from a tree. I just call it solid lumber to make the distinction between that and plywood, which is made up of a whole bunch of layers of thin wood all laminated together. Sometimes solid wood is just called lumber and plywood is called sheet goods. Andrew and a few others were asking about the pocket screws and if there's a way to build this cabinet without them. Yes, of course, there's a lot of different ways to join this together. Pocket screws are just fast and easy. That's why I like to use them. I don't see any problem with just butting two pieces of plywood together and screwing directly into the edge of one. The main drawback to that is that your screw will show. Why don't we get to see the before picture? Here you go. How did I decide on which height was most comfortable? Well, actually just by kind of standing up alongside of counters. Our kitchen counters are 36 inches high. That felt a little bit high, so I just dropped it down a couple of inches. The standard height on bathroom vanities today is 32 inches, but there are so many exceptions to that rule and companies manufacturing comfort vanities, which are much higher. Is there an advantage to making the riser, the toe kick, a separate box? I think you can do it either way. I prefer to make the toe kick base a separate piece so that I can screw it into the wall or the floor, and then when I drop the cabinet on, I have something to screw that into. Pretty easy. How did I connect the air register? My wife asked that question too. The vent that comes up into the floor just goes up underneath the cabinet. You don't need any kind of additional piping or anything, and then it just funnels out through that little register. And finally, I'm sure a lot of you want to know, how much did this vanity cost me? Well, I made one trip to the home center and picked up the sink, all of the lumber, the cabinet hardware, and the light fixture for $550. I think that's a reasonable price, and it's a project worth doing yourself. Thanks for watching, everybody.